For the past 36 years, one man has had more influence over the largest supervisorial district in Los Angeles County than any other.
I'm Supervisor Mike Antonovich.
As supervisor of the 5th District since 1980, Mike Antonovich has shaped the way residential growth has occurred in North Los Angeles County while paying careful attention to the needs of its most vulnerable populations. From seniors and veterans to the homeless and mentally ill, from foster children to shelter animals, Mike Antonovich has been a champion. He has been a staunch advocate for the men and women who battle our wildfires and keep our streets safe, and he has spurred economic development while simultaneously preserving thousands of acres of open space and making the 5th District a truly well-rounded place to live, work, shop, and play. Michael Dennis Antonovich was born August 12, 1939 in Los Angeles to a Croatian immigrant named Mickey Antonovich and his wife Frances. Mike grew up in South Los Angeles. His father worked in underground contracting, constructing storm drains and sewers, while his mother stayed home with Mike, his brother Gregory, and his sister Madeline. In junior high school, he became interested in politics after seeing the 1952 National Convention on television. After watching the conventions, he began reading his parents' sample ballots, and he thought, I could do this job in representing and vote the right way. As Mike grew older, he continued to observe politics when he enlisted in the Army. After completing basic training, he pursued his goal of becoming a teacher. He enrolled in Cal State LA and worked with his father during the summer. Graduating in 1963, he became a history and government teacher, just as he had planned, and he worked at several schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District and later Pepperdine University. But politics beckoned. Mike got his political feet wet by helping with Barry Goldwater's campaign for the White House in 1964. He admired Goldwater for his reasoned principles and belief in equal opportunity. In 1969, a change in state law removed community colleges from the Los Angeles Unified School District, and the first separate elections for the College Board were held. Sarah Schaefer, a former 5th grade teacher and mentor, encouraged Mike to run. Well, he ran and he won. He was elected to the Los Angeles Community College Board of Trustees. Another seat on the same board went to Jerry Brown, someone he would later spar with in Sacramento. In 1972, Mike Antonovich was elected to the California Assembly. He attracted the notice of Republican leaders who saw a future for him in state politics, even though his legislation had little to do with party politics. Most of his bills advocated children's issues, and he has said he was the most proud of a measure that outlawed child stealing for the first time. By 1976, Mike had risen to the rank of Republican whip. With 3 terms in the legislature under his belt and his political star beginning to shine, Mike set his sights on the lieutenant governor's seat in 1978. Party leaders liked him, but with Jimmy Carter in the White House and Jerry Brown in a Sacramento apartment, Mike's primary opponent, a recording industry tycoon named Mike Curb, painted him as too conservative for California. Curb would serve for 1 term and then disappear from politics. Not Mike Antonovich. Out of office for the first time in a decade, Mike bided his time working in a family-owned land development company until the next opportunity presented itself.
On present temperature 40 degrees, Vince Bagley next downstairs on radio, my deep friend, dear friend here, Mr. Herndon next on television. Hope you'll join us at 10:30 Gunther time tomorrow. Till then, good night for Gunther. Gunther's
it wasn't
got
a long
everything.
wait. Channel 7 news anchor Baxter Ward was about to seek a 3rd term on the Board of Supervisors after promising voters he'd serve just 2 terms.
People keep more
it was
of their
1980,
money, the
and the Reagan Revolution was sweeping the country. Mike vilified Ward as an absentee supervisor and made mincemeat out of Ward's support for a light rail system that didn't materialize. The election of Mike Antonovich created a conservative majority on the board, but the Board of Supervisors isn't the legislature. Personalities hold bigger sway than ideology with the nonpartisan board whose primary function is the delivery of local services. Mike wouldn't kowtow to conservative firebrand Pete Chabaram, and while he often battled the board's liberal dean, Kenny Hahn, Mike nonetheless respected him and often voted with him.
He is really about working across the aisles, but he came from a time in Sacramento when that's what you did. You know, I tell people one of the ways I also met Mike was my dad was insurance commissioner under Reagan. And Mike and I have talked about the fact that during that time, you worked with the opposite party because you wanted to get things done, because that's what people expected from government.
The 1990s were a time of U.S. economic growth, but the decade didn't start out that way.
Health and welfare lost $1.7 billion. State aid to local governments lost $1.3 billion.
During a short-term recession, the county nearly went broke. General relief was cut for the first time ever. Service providers, police, fire, social welfare, had to compete for scarce tax dollars. The county turned to public-private partnerships to meet the need for health care. The one thing that consumed many officials at the time were budget cuts. Even then, the greatest need was in the Antelope Valley.
He's done a lot of great things out in the Antelope Valley, there's no doubt, and I think that he saw that as the tip of LA County, and sometimes the Antelope Valley gets forgotten. Not sometimes, a lot of times they get forgotten. When a dollar goes over the hill, we get 59 cents or something that comes back in services. And so I think Mike took us under his wing as kind of his project.
Finally, after years of debate and struggle, on October 20th, 2003, the four-story, $109 million Michael D. Antonovich Antelope Valley Courthouse was open for business. The 1990s would also bring some personal changes for LA County's 5th District Supervisor. One night at a dinner party, Mike met actress Christine Hu. About a year later, 900 people, including Pat Boone and Red Buttons, filed into St. Mary's Armenian Church for the wedding, followed by a reception at the Burbank Hilton. The year was 1998. In 1999, Michael Jr. came along, followed by Mary Christine in 2000.
Mike is very much about his kids and his wife, which, given his public, persona, a lot of people don't realize that.
But even with his growing family, Mike still found time to build his part of the county economically. Building a strong community through businesses, regardless of what side of the five they were on, quickly became a priority for Mike.
So Mike was an early supporter of the Economic Development Corporation. He immediately saw the value of a unified strategy for economic development for the Santa Clarita Valley. So we partnered between the city and the county and the private sector to put together a holistic strategy where we're looking at bringing businesses here. We don't have to think about which side of the five the business is looking at. We can just say a business should come to the Santa Clarita Valley, and we can work harmoniously with businesses that way. And it really makes a difference and differentiates the Santa Clarita Valley from other locations.
Would you make a deal to trade up to $550 in cash for one of these three doors, knowing behind one of them is $3,037 in cash for valuable merchandise?
In 1964, Mike Antonovich won a dachshund on Let's Make a Deal. It was love at first sight. Now, every week at the Board of Supervisors, Mike showcases a different pet that's available for adoption from one of the county's animal shelters. Over the years, his pet adoption program has put smiles on the faces of more than 1,000 new pet owners.
Our dogs are very important in our life and in our business. And part of Supervisor Antonovich and our affinity together is his love for dogs and animals.
And just as great as his compassion is his sense of fashion.
What's with the socks and what's with the shoes? Because now he's moved down. He started up here with the coat, and then it went to the socks, and now it's to the shoes. You'd have to ask him. I have to say he's comfortable in his own skin.
I like it. That's him. I've always liked the way he handles himself, the way he dresses. I mean, he's his own man, and that's rare.
Another passion for Mike Antonovich is open space, parks, and trails. Throughout his 36-year tenure, he has allocated millions of dollars in county funds to improve and expand park and recreation facilities. He has helped plan new trails, and he's rehabilitated old ones.
There was trails on the map since about '78, but nobody was really doing much. Mike got elected. The trails had to be updated, and subsequently over these years we now have probably close to 90 miles of trails out here, both county and city. Beautiful open spaces. Mike has supported many of the city's purchases with a lot of money from the county and Prop A. All of it was really hard work, and it wouldn't have happened without him being there.
Mike Antonovich's interests in trails extend beyond the confines of his office. An avid equestrian, every year since 1992, Mike has organized an annual trail duster ride, inviting the public to promote awareness of county trails.
I like the fact that he'll get on a horse and ride a horse out that he's never been on. That's pretty gutsy from a horsewoman who has 7 horses. He's a brave man.
I'm a firm believer, like he is, that once you lose trails, you lose the whole rural lifestyle. So trails are really important, and he understands that. And the fact that he does his trail duster rides out in different areas keeps that alive and going.
On June 6, 2013, Mike Antonovich and other county officials celebrated the addition of $9.7 million in improvements to the Vasquez Rocks natural area, including a new interpretive center, which aims to highlight the park's history, geology, and wildlife.
It was a long process getting here. It was probably maybe a year to 2 years once the ground was broken to get the Interpretive Center open for the public. Supervisor Antonovich was instrumental in getting off the ground and on the rocks.
Think back over Mike Antonovich's career, and the one thing that stands out perhaps above all else is his devotion to families and children. He created spaces for families to recreate and read. He established career development internships within each county department and expanded it to other agencies. And his concern for foster children leaving the system finally paid off in this decade, when the age of emancipation for foster kids in California went from 18 to 21.
He's very interested in children who have been in the foster care system and they're being aged out. And he understands that at 18 years old, it's very difficult for a young person who's been through the foster care system to become independent suddenly just because they're 18 years old. And so not only is he interested in what we do here at Child and Family Center, but the whole spectrum of services that are required for young people like that to really get ahead in the world. He's very driven by that understanding that this is a need our society has.
For more than 30 years, Mike Antonovich has valued and supported the services provided by Santa Clarita's own Child and Family Center. He appointed its co-founder, Liz Seipel, to the LA County Commission for Children and Families, and just a year ago, granted the organization $100,000 to fund psychological testing.
When you are an agency interacting with a county government, it's very complex, to say the least, and having his guidance to help, through that complex system, our ability to go forward and go for different types of government grants that allowed us to expand our services was definitely part of his advocacy to us.
Mike Antonovich's commitment to children's services inspired YMCA Board Chair Colin Jones to nominate him for the organization's John Fuller Award.
When we look at who might fit the John Fuller Award, we look at pillars within our community, or those that have provided a tremendous benefit to our community. And I don't know that there's any one person that you could really look at from a community perspective that has done more within his district. And again, this is a very large district, but done tremendous amounts within the Santa Clarita Valley. And last year alone, if we use it just as a gauge, he was so helpful in providing a $50,000 grant. That grant was broken into 3 areas, and the 3 areas encompassed managing and aiding families within Santa Clarita Y on their physical activity. So that was over 100 families with children that were benefited. He also sent 42 kids to a once-in-a-lifetime experience in Big Bear. The YMCA has a summer camp that I used to go to when I was a kid. And it's a wonderful place. And we sent 42 kids with those funds and donations. And then we took another 31 and kept them in an after-school program within our child care facilities in Santa Clarita.
Thank you, Supervisor Antonovich, for everything that you've done for our community out here in Agua Dulce. We appreciate it, and we will miss you once you're gone.
Supervisor Antonovich, I can't tell you how much Don and Cheri and this community will miss you, how much we appreciate you, how much your friendship means to us. I know it will last for the rest of our lives. Thank you for everything you do.
Mike, I want you to know how much I appreciate your service, your dedication to this valley, and to the growth of businesses in our community. We'll miss you. I want you to have a wonderful future, and if there's ever anything that we can do for you at Valencia Acura, you can always count on us.
Mike, thank you for so many years of service to the citizens of Los Angeles County. What you have, the legacy you have left is really unparalleled by anyone else. And you've served a huge territory and impacted so many people, and we are deeply grateful for what you've done. Thank you.
You're dynamite, and I've really appreciated your legacy and your vision, what you have done for us, what you have done for our state. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It has been great to work with you, great to know you, and I applaud what you're leaving for future generations.
Mike, thanks so much for everything you've done for Child and Family Center. For me, you've made me understand what a leader of our community can do, and I appreciate each and every one of your efforts on our behalf. Thank you.
I wanted to thank you personally, Supervisor Antonovich, for your tremendous support of our local YMCA, and we're honored to have you as our John Fuller recipient this year. Again, thank you very much.